He was clinically dead for 78 minutes. His heart stopped beating in front of thousands of fans and millions of viewers at home. Yet, against all odds, Fabrice Muamba came back to life. On the 17th of March 2012, the world witnessed one of the most shocking events in modern football. It happened during an FA Cup quarter-final between Bolton Wanderers and Tottenham Hotspur, when a young midfielder collapsed without warning. What followed was an extraordinary survival story, one that still feels impossible even years later. Can you imagine watching your favorite team play and suddenly realizing you were witnessing a fight for life, not a game anymore? That is what millions experienced that evening.
Of more than 30,000 spectators who are now almost silent.
To understand why his story touched so many, it helps to look back at where he came from. Fabrice Muamba was born on the 6th of April 1988 in Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo. At just 11 years old, he and his family moved to England, hoping for a better future. Like many young boys, he found joy in football. But his journey was never about glamour. He joined Arsenal's youth academy and built his career with sheer discipline and tireless effort. Later, he played for Birmingham City, before joining Bolton Wanderers in 2008. Unlike the stars who grab headlines with spectacular goals, Muamba stood out for his stamina, his determination, and his ability to keep the game steady. Do you also find yourself rooting for players like that? The ones who do not always shine the brightest but carry the team with consistency and heart? For many fans, those players are the soul of football. That is what made what happened next so shocking. On 17th March 2012, Bolton lined up against Tottenham in a crucial FA Cup quarter-final. The game was tense, competitive, and full of energy until the 41st minute. Suddenly, as Muamba was running across the pitch, he collapsed without any warning. There was no foul, no clash, just a player dropping to the ground. The stadium, filled with noise and cheers just seconds earlier, fell silent. You could feel the fear in the air. Commentators struggled to keep their voices steady. And television cameras quickly cut away from the distressing sight. Imagine being there, surrounded by thousands of people, and all you can do is wait and hope. Fans who came to see football found themselves watching something far more serious.
From that moment on, the pitch became a battlefield, not for goals, but for survival. Doctors later confirmed that Muamba had suffered a sudden cardiac arrest, meaning his heart had stopped completely. Within moments, medical staff sprinted onto the field. They began cardiopulmonary resuscitation, right there in front of everyone. Defibrillators were used again and again, but Muamba showed no sign of life. For about 78 minutes, his heart did not beat. Think about that for a second. More than an hour without a heartbeat. How would you react if you were one of the doctors, knowing every second counted? He was rushed to the London Chest Hospital, where specialists continued fighting for his life. His survival was described by doctors as nothing short of miraculous. Even now, when I recall hearing the news, I wonder how it was possible. Stories like his make you realize how fragile life is, and how powerful quick action and medical expertise can be. The atmosphere inside White Hart Lane changed instantly once Fabrice Muamba collapsed. Within minutes, the match was abandoned. Both sets of players were visibly shaken, many of them too emotional to continue. Tottenham staff and players chose to remain at the stadium, standing alongside Muamba's family in a powerful moment of solidarity. It was one of those rare times in sport when everyone understood that football no longer mattered. Have you ever noticed how quickly rivalries and competition fade when something bigger than the game takes place? That evening was one of those moments.
Used to be in some distress as well, Fabrice Muamba.
Support came flooding in almost immediately. Messages of encouragement poured from supporters, fellow professionals, and clubs from every corner of the world.
Attending to the stricken Bolton player.
Social media became a constant stream of hope, and daily news updates about Muamba's condition were followed by millions of people. Suddenly, his fight for life was not just a personal battle, but an international story. Fans who would usually argue over results and league positions now found themselves united in a single wish. That this young player would somehow recover. Looking back, it is hard not to be moved by how the entire footballing world came together. After weeks in intensive care, followed by a period of rehabilitation, Muamba gradually regained his strength. For many, it felt like a victory just to see him walk again. Yet, medical experts soon gave him the devastating truth. Returning to professional football would be far too dangerous for his health. The risk was simply too high. In August 2012, at only 23 years old, he announced his retirement. Think about that for a moment. At an age when most players are just reaching their peak, his career ended in an instant. How would you react if you were forced to leave behind your passion so suddenly?
White Hart Lane for nearly 7 years.
For me, what stands out most is not the sadness of his retirement, but the courage he showed in facing it. Life after football took him down a very different road. He stepped into coaching, appeared in the media, and began speaking publicly about his experience. More importantly, he turned his story into a mission, raising awareness about heart health and the importance of emergency preparedness. Personally, I found it inspiring to see him take something so tragic and transform it into a purpose. It made me admire him even more. The impact of his collapse stretched far beyond one player or one club.
And he placed it brilliantly. Bogdan came and got nowhere near it.
Football authorities realized urgent changes were needed. Stricter medical standards were introduced, and defibrillators were made mandatory in stadiums as well as training facilities. Clubs placed greater focus on cardiac screening for players, ensuring risks were detected earlier. Campaigns promoting cardiopulmonary resuscitation training spread widely, and equipment that could save lives became more accessible, not only to teams but also to supporters. It makes you wonder, do you think the game would have been this prepared today if Muamba's survival had not happened? His story directly shaped modern football's safety practices, and that is a legacy in itself.
From Boyata, narrowing towards the bottom corner.
Even with all these changes, what people remember most is not just the reforms, but the human story behind them. What happened to Muamba remains one of the most extraordinary tales of survival in sport. It reminds us of the fragility of life, even for young athletes who appear to be in perfect condition. His journey continues to inspire campaigns around the world, encouraging people to learn cardiopulmonary resuscitation and to understand the life-saving power of a defibrillator. Whenever I think back to that night, I still feel chills. His survival was not only a miracle in medical terms, but also a message that life itself is the greatest victory. And before we finish, I want to hear your thoughts. Were you watching when this moment happened, or did you hear about it later? How did it make you feel? Share your experience in the comments below, because stories like this remind us that football is more than just a game. Make sure you subscribe to Enigma Path for more incredible stories. And do not forget to like and share this video so others can reflect on this unforgettable moment as well.